helpless. Bronson Reed from the top of that tsunami to Rhodes.
15th November, SmackDown Hits and Misses, Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, played host to the latest exciting episode of SmackDown, as there were multiple storylines to look up to for fans. Cody Rhodes called out Kevin Owens for his actions. There was a surprising return. The tag team gold was defended. Plus, there was a massive shift in momentum in the engaging Bloodline Civil War. Join us now as we look at the hits and misses from the 15th November episode of SmackDown. Hits. Cody Rhodes cuts an emotional promo. Tensions were high after last week's blatant attack by Kevin Owens on Randy Orton, which put the Viper on the shelf indefinitely. This week, Cody Rhodes called out the Canadian wrestler, but SmackDown GM Nick Aldis walked in instead. Aldis informed the American Nightmare that Owens had been rightfully suspended for his actions. Rhodes was having none of it, as he described the trauma of accompanying his longtime friend Orton in the back of the ambulance last week. He demanded that Aldis ensure Owens is back at the Blue Brand show next week. We'll find out later whether the GM granted his wish or not. Shinsuke Nakamura is back. A major name that has been missing from WWE programming for more than 7 months is that of Shinsuke Nakamura. However, the Japanese veteran mounted a shock comeback by attacking the US champion LA Knight after he had disposed of Berto to retain his title. It's high time Knight gets to face fresh challengers for his strap, as the same old contenders for the US title were making his reign disinteresting. What better way than to pit the current champion against a former 2-time US champion in Nakamura? He deserved his long sabbatical after being a constant fixture on the roster for a long time. Now that the King of Strong Style is back, the US title picture has become all the more interesting. Kudos to WWE Creative for bringing back Nakamura at just the right time.
Helpless. Bronson Reed from the top of that tsunami to Rhodes.
The new Bloodline has got its 5th member. While the original Bloodline failed at their attempt to convince a superstar to be the 5th member of their Survivor Series War Games team, the new Bloodline seems to have got its final piece of the puzzle. Both versions of the familial stable were involved in a high-octane brawl, which was clearly going the way of the Roman Reigns-led group until Big Bronson Reed intervened. The Australian and Jacob Fatu destroyed the OG ensemble one by one with devastating tsunamis and equally dangerous moonsaults. A resurgent Reigns was put back in his place by Solo Sikoa, who recovered just in time to deliver his trademark move, the Samoan Spike, followed by, you guessed it right, a moonsault from Fatu and a tsunami by Reed that annihilated the original tribal chief. The fact that the new iteration of Bloodline has won the race for securing a 5th member for their team does not bode well for the OG Bloodline. This has made things much more interesting for the fans. Kevin Owens responds. Kevin Owens might not have been allowed in the Fiserv Forum, but it did not prevent the prizefighter from cutting a fiery promo. Seated in his car, the Canadian, in his usual angered self, defended his actions last week. Moreover, Owens revealed that he received a call from SmackDown GM Nick Aldis, asking him to be present for the Blue Brand show next week. Although he was not too pleased about the role of Golden Boy Cody Rhodes for getting him back on TV, Owens promised he'll be there next Friday. The heel grappler's presence in Salt Lake City means only one thing: the WWE Universe needs to gear up for mayhem. Owens and Rhodes will be mightily difficult for the authorities to contain. Let's see how things play out. Wise man mentioned in ages. It has been almost 5 months since the brain behind the OG Bloodline, Paul Heyman, showed up in WWE. He was not even mentioned after the Solo Sikoa-led version of the Bloodline dismantled him. That is until this edition of SmackDown, when Roman Reigns, after being beaten to a pulp by Sikoa and his lackeys, tried calling his wise man. Although the phone call did not go through, the fact that Heyman was mentioned on WWE programming after such a long time could only mean one thing: that the special counsel might be about to return to the fold soon. How Heyman's return impacts the Bloodline Civil War remains to be seen, but his involvement in the implosion of the familial stable feels like a no-brainer. WWE Creative needs a pat on the back for its long-term storytelling. Mrs. robbing fans of a tag team masterclass. Motor City Machine Guns, the tag team champions, defended their title against the Street Profits in a mouth-watering clash this week. The match was a rollercoaster ride, with both the teams looking hell-bent on picking up the W. However, an interference from Tommaso Ciampa robbed fans of what was becoming an absolute clinic by both supremely talented teams. The only explanation we could think of is that the Stamford-based promotion was protecting two of its top tag teams and would look to pit them in a PLE rather than a regular TV match. While this argument does make some sense, why fix something when it's not broken?
Naomi flies! Down goes the champion! But now Naomi...
Spoiling the main event. This one was a minor mistake on the part of WWE's think tank involving Naomi, who was scheduled to challenge Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Champion in the show's main event. However, Naomi was also advertised for the tournament to crown the first ever Women's United States Champion, making her loss in the main event about all but a certainty. Granted, an individual could hold both the WWE Women's title and the Women's US strap simultaneously, but the chances of that happening are very minuscule. This all but confirmed that Jax would retain her belt and rendered the night's main attraction pointless. This week's SmackDown edition was a wild ride from start to finish. Sure, there were a few bumps along the way, but overall, the Blue Brand show was a smooth sail. The focus of WWE Creative was to come up with an engaging show and, at the same time, set up things nicely for next week's episode, and they delivered on both those aspects.